Hello everyone, glad to have you back. Have you ever wondered how many different locations or planets there are in the F-Zero universe? Well, I certainly have. Of course you can just look them up on whatever website you happen to find, but many sites don't have every location listed, or maybe they even have some that aren't canon, so I took the time and searched pretty much everywhere to find all the real locations in the F-Zero universe. I will go into them in order of appearance, so locations only featured in Cheaper Legend, for example, will be mentioned later. Also, I want to cut this video into 4 distinct parts: locations with race tags in the game, locations mentioned in the game or game manuals, locations mentioned or seen in the anime, and finally non-canon locations. I will put all my sources in the description, so please check them out for yourself if you want to know more detailed information. A lot of conflicting information exists around the internet and in the games as well. Some locations are on the same planet, but in other games they are their own planet. I'll make sure to mention it whenever I can. One last thing before I begin. I know people don't like if you throw the original canon and the anime canon into one, so I won't do that. Whenever I'm talking about the Cheaper Legend timeline, I'll mention it. Oh, and by the way, F-Zero anime spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, here's your warning. So let's begin then. Every location in the F-Zero universe. Let's go. Mute City is a metropolis at the heart of the Space Federation. It is claimed that it has a population of over 1 billion. It's also a very important location in the F-Zero universe. Every game except Maximum Velocity has multiple tracks on it, usually also the first track in the game. It also has a very recognizable soundtrack and design in general. Mute City was eventually replaced by Bianca City and F-Zero Maximum Velocity, but more about that later. In the main canon, its name comes from Mutant City. In the anime, Mute City is actually New York City. It evolved quickly after Earth had made first contact with an alien species. Big Blue is a planet covered almost entirely by water. Before the events of GX, Big Blue seemed to have gone through some design changes. More buildings and industrial sites are visible around the tracks. It is probably the most well-known location next to Mute City. Sand Ocean is a sand planet that has been thought to not house any human life for centuries. Recently, ancient ruins of a long-gone civilization have been found on Sand Ocean, and they are thought to be around 30,000 years old. Ever since the discovery of those locations, Sand Ocean has turned into quite a tourist attraction. It is also home to some very big creatures living in the sand. Deathwind is considered to be one of the most peaceful places in the universe, yet it is home to some of the strongest winds ever recorded. Some sites claim that Deathwind and Devil's Forest and Greenplant are actually the same planet, although I have not found any clear proof for that, so let's just leave it here. What we do know though is that Pico calls this planet his home. Silence's name comes from the fact that nothing on this planet creates any noise. It seems that this planet doesn't have any life on it except the F-Zero racers and their fans, of course. Other than that, Silence is pretty mysterious. There really isn't a lot of information about Silence out there. Port Town is the largest space harbor in the universe. It has been built with the newest technology of the 26th century and is one of the most important locations for interstellar trade. According to the F-Zero X manual, the bounty hunter Captain Falcon comes from Port Town. Red Canyon is a rocky location somewhat similar to Sand Ocean, although it seems to be the home of some creatures. It is also the favorite location of Samurai Goro and his gang. A rule states that if you lose in Red Canyon, you forfeit your machine. Cheaper Legend calls it the least safe F-Zero venue, but I doubt that when there are locations like Outer Space or Firefield. In the anime, it is very similar to Kryton, but more on that later. Whiteland is another very mysterious planet. It's a very cold planet, seemingly in an endless winter, but it looks like there are cities around. On the SNES version at least. I have found one source that claimed that Whiteland is actually Alcatraz, but I don't believe it. In the anime, Whiteland's bad weather is man-made by some sort of climate controlling machine. There isn't any explanation on why, but it probably doesn't matter since it gets destroyed anyway. Firefield is a tough one. It's not even mentioned in the first game's manual, so that makes it even harder. Most information I could find was from Maximum Velocity and Cheaper Legend. Maximum Velocity states that it is believed that ancient aliens once worshipped the planet for religious purposes. That would explain the temples in the distance, in Maximum Velocity at least. Cheaper Legend provides a more detailed description, but as I said before, I do not want to combine the two universes into one, so this is just a different theory. Originally a planet for mining minerals and resources, an accident caused an explosion and turned the location into what we know today. In order to save the company who was the reason behind the accident, a plan was devised to team up with the F-Zero committee and build multiple tracks at the site of the accident. Sandstorm is a location only seen in BS F-Zero Grand Prix. It looks pretty similar to Sand Ocean. Forest is another BS F-Zero Grand Prix exclusive location. Once again, nothing is known about this place, but it could be a predecessor of Devil's Forest. Next to nothing is known about Metal Fort. Original footage is rare to come by and there exists no outside information. Sad, since it looks quite interesting. As I said before, some claim it is the other side of the planet called Deathwind, but I'm not too sure about it. It's basically a forest planet, and as I just said a minute ago, it could be a new version of Forest from BS F-Zero Grand Prix. Once again, a very mysterious location. It is only available in F-Zero X and features only 2 tracks, Alpha and Beta. The ground texture below the track kinda looks like a circuit board, so maybe Sector is a simulation or something like that. I'm not too sure. Rainbow Road is obviously a reference to Mario Kart. The only track we have is the same one from Mario Kart 64, just adjusted to fit F-Zero. Phantom Road is very similar to Rainbow Road in its design, but they are very different locations. The same as Sector. Pretty much nothing is known about this racing venue. It reuses the same ground texture as Sector and is in general very similar to that, so they could be the same. Only one track here, and it's in the form of a hand. How original. In F-Zero Climax there is a course that references Big Hand from X, but that one is set on silent, so maybe Big Hand is silent? Who knows? Pretty much the same as Big Hand. It looks different, but well, it's another body part, so I don't think the developers put too much time into the lore about this place, if they even put any thought into that at this point. Fun track though. Bianca City is the new metropolis on Earth after it rapidly outgrew Mute City as the center of political and economic activity. The small town seemingly became a metropolis overnight after a deposit of pure titanium was found near Bianca City. It is also named after the wife of the first mayor of the town. The Stark Farm was, as the name suggests, a farm that produced large amounts of food, but due to unknown reasons, crops started to wither and decay. A science team was sent to investigate, and they found dangerous substances in the soil. To make up for all the losses, multiple F-Zero tracks were built on Stark Farm. Like Sand Ocean, Empyrean Colony is another desert planet, but this time it has a different purpose. Empyrean Colony serves as the location for a colonizing experiment. Even though the government and real estate companies invested a lot of money and resources into this project, it eventually failed. A cloud carpet is a planet covered entirely by clouds. Due to energy concerns, the buildings on this planet were built to be higher than a cloud so they can start using the sunlight as an alternative source of energy. Even though everything is covered by a thick layer of clouds, one natural structure is visible above them: Mount Babylon. 10th Zone East, also known as East Tenside, is an industrial city complex used to build small ships and passenger cruisers. Due to its ever-growing size and quick development, the pollution in the city rose to abnormal levels. The polluted sky is able to block out sunlight for an entire year. Originally called Lightport, Beaconport was a world used for interplanetary navigation. Due to the failure of some navigation beacons, space debris and radiation, wrong coordinates have been transmitted for quite some time. The Space Federation eventually ordered the collection of the navigation beacons to stop the wrong transmissions from happening. Since all the beacons are stored on this planet, it was eventually renamed the Beaconport. Xenobus is a swampy planet home to an old aristocratic society. Many mysteries revolve around this planet. Cargo ships frequently get lost when traveling near this world. There are also rumors of an ancient treasure within the depths of this mysterious world. Ancient Mesa is an icy planet similar to Whiteland. When it was first discovered, it was just called Mesa, but it was eventually renamed to Ancient Mesa. Unlike Whiteland, Ancient Mesa is uninhabitable, but F-Zero tracks have been constructed on the desolate planet. There are currently disputes between the Resource Research Group and the Nature Preservative Group. Like the name already tells us, Craterland is a planet covered by countless craters. After long research, oil was found on Craterland and therefore it was quickly transformed into a mining colony. It is said that ancient creatures once lived on this world, but proof has yet to be found. Casino Palace is not a planet, but a location in the entertainment district in the outskirts of Mute City. Like the name suggests, it's mostly a casino where creatures from all around the universe can win or lose a lot of space credits. There are also races where people can bid on the drivers, like we have seen in Chapter 3 of GX's story. Lightning is a location in the outskirts of Mute City. It is an industrial complex built to generate a lot of power. Due to its severe pollution, the entire zone has been home to permanent lightning and thunderstorms. Those storms are now used to generate even more power. The total power generation is so large that lightning now has to export excess power to nearby planets. While lightning seems to be on the same planet as Mute City, it is quite obviously its own planet in the anime universe. Even though it's its own planet there, the general story is pretty much the same. Aeropolis is another metropolis similar to Mute City. It is entirely made up of giant skyscrapers. It is also managed by a supercomputer called Mother Q, who tries to create an ideal living environment for everyone. It's apparently also the home of Rob, but come on, you knew that already. Green Plant is a high-tech project designed to provide oxygen to deep space colonists. Due to overpopulation on Earth, humans have been forced to venture out to other planets. Green Plant was built as an automatic oxygen-generating facility, but the ever-growing plants have slowly started to grow out of control. Cosmo Terminal is a space elevator that never finished construction because it exceeded its original budget. To make up for losses, an F-Zero track was constructed inside it. Phantom Road is another mysterious place in the F-Zero universe. Some say this track is actually not real, but a computer simulation, which makes sense when I look at the final chapter in F-Zero GX's story mode. Obviously this track is located in outer space, most likely above Earth. Due to its location, there is always the danger of space debris hitting the track. In the anime, the track is protected by a force field created by nearby satellites. The Underworld is not really a major location, but it has a few mentions and even a track in GX's story, so I believe it deserves a quick mention here before we have to move on. It's the home of Deathborn and the Underworld Grand Prix. Sadly, that's all we know about it. Mistthrow is a planet covered by dense fog. It seems to be the home of some cities, but it's one of the planets we know the least of. Could have been an interesting location, but stuff like this just happens sometimes. Similar to Phantom Road, Illusion seems to be a simulation or maybe a private training track for a Dark Million. That would explain its location on the map Cheap Legend and the fact that only Soda and Black Shadow have story missions there. But it doesn't explain its existence in the Grand Prix, so let's just leave it here. Well then, these were all the locations featuring at least one track in each game. But we aren't done yet. Next up are planets that are the home of some characters in F-Zero. Just so you know, information is very limited about these places, so I'll be very quick. Giant is the home planet of Bava. According to the F-Zero GX manual, it's supposed to be an evergreen paradise, so I imagine it's similar to Devil's Forest or Green Plant. Takora is the homeworld of Octoman. Takora has been at conflict with the Galactic Federation for many years now. Octoman races at the F-Zero Grand Prix to earn money for his home planet. So is planet ravaged by many wars. Since this world still suffers from past wars, the people decided to send an F-Zero racer to the Grand Prix as a symbol of hope. That racer is Leo. Home to the Furikake people, Goma and Shio call this planet their home. On Hackmine, the Furikake people are taught to always act as partners. That's why Goma and Shio race together in one machine. Magica is another desert planet home to a scientifically advanced kingdom. Princea Remote, the princess of said kingdom, decided she wanted to join the F-Zero Grand Prix after she saw a race on Mute City. Sheena is the homeworld of Daisan Gen from F-Zero AX. Now it's time to talk about every planet mentioned in the F-Zero anime exclusively. I know some people don't consider them canon, but I think it's worth to talk about them anyway. Mentioned in episode 2, and later seen in episode 9, it doesn't feature a track, but it acted as a high security prison, but ever since Black Show's attack on it, it has been abandoned. Dark Million uses it as one of their hiding spots. See in episode 2, it features a track that is an exact copy of Mute City Figure 8 from F-Zero X. From the few frames where we actually see its surroundings, it kinda looks similar to Mute City, so it's probably another very big city. You see in episode 3, the track on this planet is actually Sand Ocean 2 Wave Panic, once again from F-Zero X. Clifoto suffers from very hot temperatures due to its proximity to its system star. Crichton is seen a few times. It acts as the main hiding space of Samurai Goho and his gang. It has a lot of similarities to Red Cannon, but Red Cannon is seen in the later episodes, so they aren't the same, just very similar. Only mentioned very briefly in episode 4, it is the planet where the rare medicine needed in the episode is from. Also only mentioned briefly in episode 10, it is the home planet of the fruit that Roger Buster delivers at the beginning of the episode. Heiru is first seen in episode 11. Similar to Takara and So, it's a rather poor planet ravaged by wars, but it's slowly recovering. It features an F-Zero track and also Clank is from this planet. Tank made his appearance later in the anime in episode 38. It's a rocky wasteland that once held F-Zero races, but due to declining tourism, future races have been cancelled. Looking more like an asteroid, the F-Zero Committee has its own planet in the anime universe. It's first seen in episode 47. Seen in episode 51, the Dark Star is the final location in the anime. It seems to be mostly empty with the exception of a track with split paths and, of course, Black Shore's bomb. As far as I know, the Dark Star is the only location that actually gets destroyed, so that's something, I guess. Alright then. This is where I could end it, but there's one last thing I want to talk about. Non-canon locations. You see, there once was a website made for advertising F-Zero X. The website was run by Nintendo of America and has been defunct for quite some time. Anyway, most, if not all of the information found on that site is wrong. Mostly made up. It also conflicts quite a lot with the facts and law we've been given before, so it wouldn't make sense to believe that site. But for the sake of completion, I will quickly mention 6 locations mentioned on that site. But beware, this is not canon, neither in the mainline or the anime universe. Don't take the following information as fact. High 4 is said to be Baba's home planet, but it just isn't. Giant has been established as his homeworld in the original and the anime canon. Torrets 3 is said to be Pico's homeworld. Nope, he is from Deathwind. Odyapes is apparently Billy's homeworld. He's the descendant of an Earth monkey raised by Mad Baboon's science laboratories, so he is from Earth. According to whoever made this stuff up, Soda is the leader of the Solorkian coalition from 41 Uma, whatever that is. Space Station K-22 is orbiting Jupiter. It is also the place where Biorex is apparently from. Biorex never had a homeworld other than Earth probably, since he was created from a fossilized dinosaur egg. Mandrill 4 is the planet on which you would find Angelopolis if it actually existed. It's supposed to be a location where Michael Jane and his gang are from. Once again, those 6 locations aren't canon. Do not take them seriously. I just wanted to quickly mention them for completion. So, that's pretty much it. Every location and planet in the F-Zero universe. There are quite a few, aren't there? I hope you learned a thing or two, but if you didn't, I at least hope you enjoyed this video. I have an idea for one more video, very similar to this one. I'm sure you could imagine what it would be about, but yeah, I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be, so I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.